Now we move on to the second wave, that is between the 1960s to 1980s. And this second wave, it focuses on sexuality, family, workplace, reproductive rights, and de facto inequalities. So the publication of The Feminine Mystique, this particular work by Betty Friedan, it sparked widespread public awareness and activism. And of course, another significant thing was the formation of the National Organization for Women, which is abbreviated as NOW, in 1966, which aimed to bring women into full participation in society. There was another important event, that was this particular landmark decision, that was Roe versus Wade in 1973. This was, as I said, a landmark decision by the US Supreme Court in favor of Jane Roe on the issue of abortion. Now, another two very significant women and two very significant texts that I would like to mention. One is Simone de Beauvoir and her book, The Second Sex. The other is The Feminine Mystique, that is by Betty Friedan. So, this book, written in French, Simone de Beauvoir's book, The Second Sex, it discusses how women have historically been confined to immanence. Okay, and immanence, I mean to say, a passive interior existence, while men are associated with transcendence, that is, active creative roles. So, women are playing, always, they are the ones who are playing passive roles, and of course they are not getting that kind of a recognition, but men are assigned active and creative roles, and that is why they are getting that kind of a recognition in their lives. I would like to quote from the book. She writes, "Man is defined as a human being and a woman as a female. Whenever she behaves as a human being, she is said to imitate the male." Now, talking about the other book, that is The Feminine Mystique by Betty Friedan, she discusses in this book the widespread unhappiness of women in the 1950s and the 1960s, despite living in material comfort. Okay, so that these are the two significant works that were quite that made quite a lot of a difference in the second wave of feminism that we were just now discussing about. Now, moving on to the third wave, that was from the 1990s to the present. That is, the third wave, it focuses on addressing the issues of intersectionality and challenging the definitions of femininity. And one significant movement that is associated with this third wave is that of Riot Girl movement of the 1990s. It is a feminist punk movement that combined music, art, and politics. Then, of course, there is another significant thing even that happened in this time. That is Anita Hill's testimony of 1991, which brought attention to sexual harassment in the workplace. Because this is a major issue that needs to be dealt with even in the present times, that is the workplace harassment. Okay, and this is something very significant, this testimony that was given by Anita Hill's testimony that I am talking about. Now, in 1992, that there is this essay in Miss Magazine, Rebecca Walker's essay, and this is which is titled as "Becoming the Third Wave." This was a response to the Anita Hill Clarence Thomas hearings. In this essay, she called for a new wave of feminist activism. Now, till now, we have been talking about feminism and about gender, mostly from the, except for the initial one poem that I quoted from Kamala Das's poem, An Introduction. Largely, we have been talking about Western feminism. So, I would like to say that often it is said that how this feminism is a very feminist, is a very foreign concept, and this has nothing to do with the Indian side. I would like to assert that, of course, there might be certain things, maybe in certain ways, the Indian feminism or the writers who are writing about feminism in India, they might be different a bit, but the essential concerns, they remain the same. That is, the Indian writers, the critics, the feminists who are writing about this, they are also essentially talking about the equality, gender equality. That is one thing that everyone is stressing about. And when I'm talking about the Indian perspective and the whole concept of patriarchy and sexism, okay, over here I would like to quote from this very famous writer, that is Usha Bande. And she points out that the roles of the dominator and the dominated are not fixed, but rather they can change depending on the context. So I would I would want to read out from this work of hers, with the book that is titled as Writing Resistance. Okay, so Usha Bande, she writes, the domination or subordination binary central to the concept of power, but as the convergence of space or gender reveals, the agents of power and the arena in which power is exercised are changeable, and as such, it is not easy to distinguish between the dominator and the dominated. This is particularly obvious in the mother daughter tension, uh, dealt with dealt with creatively, in which mother, the woman, is both the dominated, that is under patriarchy, and the dominator, that is as patriarchy's agent. So, as is very evident from this quote that I have taken from Usha Bande, that how the mother, how she is also the one who is being oppressed, but at the same time, what is happening is that she unconsciously or unconsciously, she also becomes the agent of patriarchy. Because patriarchy is something which is not just very harmful to women, but it is also very harmful to men as well. Because it deals with certain stereotypes and certain assertions, wherein even women, wherein sometimes the men, they are unable to express themselves because they are like caged in a certain kind of stereotypes, and that is why it can be very harmful to men as well. So, over here, through this particular quote, we find that the mother, she is herself a woman, but she finds herself in a dual role. That is, on one hand, she is the dominated, she's dominated by the patriarchal system, and on the other hand, she acts as an agent of patriarchy, exerting control over her daughter. This duality makes it challenging to clearly understand who holds power and who is subjected to it. So in many cases you will find that women, they enable, in a way, they enable patriarchy by adhering to and promoting traditional gender roles. Even if they are inconvenient, often due to the pressures of the society, or a lack of alternatives, or because it has always been done this way, this cycle of reinforcement can be very difficult to break sometimes, as it requires a conscious effort to challenge and redefine long standing beliefs and practices. Now, talking about, I have another passage from another Indian feminist critic, that is Supriya Chaudhary, and she like what she has to offer with regard to feminism. Okay, so in this passage, you will see that Chaudhary discusses the transformative impact of feminism on the study of history and literature. And I would like to again read out this quote. So, like Supriya Chaudhary, she opines, and I read out, I quote, by focusing on the denials, repressions, and blank spaces that made a certain kind of history possible, feminism sought to re examine questions of authority and self making, to expose the tensions of a concealed dialectic that runs through the apparently homogeneous texture of recorded history. Moreover, it articulated and made audible voices that had always been there, for the texts of the world are never monologic. They speak to those who will listen, whether through apparent silence or through the murmurs of the dispossessed. Even at times, in the cultured tones of the naturalized subject who cannot reflect on her dispossession, most importantly, feminist scholarship asked new, difficult questions about identity, selfhood, the shaping of the world by culture, and the practice and possibility of writing. Now, I move on to give you certain concrete examples how gender discrimination is dealt with in some Indian texts. Okay, of course, some of the texts are challenging this gender discrimination, and Mahesh Dattani's play Tara is one such text. Okay, it challenges gender stereotypes, it challenges gender discrimination, uh, and through this very beautiful story and a beautiful bond between a brother and a sister, that is Tara and Chandan. So you see that this story of Tara, this play, it follows the conjoined twins Tara and Chandan, who are surgically separated at birth. The decision to give the third leg to Chandan instead of Tara, despite medical advice suggesting that Tara had a better chance of survival with it, and this highlights the deep seated gender biases in their family and society. And this play also highlights preference of male child, internalized misogyny, and patriarchy in society. Now, like this is one play that is very close to my heart, and often I have discussed in my other classes as well, that in this play, that is Tara, you find there is one instance, of course, that the family is having a history that continuously how Bharti, there is something on the mind of Bharti, the mother of Tara and Chandan, and she is having some dark secret, that because of which she is constantly pestering Tara, to have milk, to take good diet. Okay, she's concerned about her health. Of course, the two twins, now they are in their teens, and there are a lot of medical complications that are involved in the health of both these children. So you find that it is Patel. Of course, the dark secret is that when at the birth, after the birth, when they were born as conjoined twins, there was this third leg, okay, which was shared between Tara and Chandan. And it was, this is what we are told by Patel, the father of the children, that the third leg was shared between Tara and Chandan, and how naturally it belonged to the body of Tara. That is, the blood supply of the leg was from Tara's body, but how Bharti took the decision, and perhaps she has her own reasons. Okay, she had her own reasons, and the leg was given to the boy. So, how overtly it would seem that it is the mother who is responsible for this unjust, like a decision that was medical decision that was taken when the children were small, or rather they were babies. But actually, you will find that, as I discussed in the previous slides also, that it is how the mother is made the agent of patriarchy. That is, over here also you will find that perhaps Bharti, the reason behind Bharti taking such a decision was that how she was, she realized that how in this world, in this kind of world where a boy is given a privilege over the other things, and he is considered as the breadwinner, she perhaps was in a way, consciously or unconsciously, she was made to take this decision. And how and why I am saying this, in the play you will find that how Patel, there is an instance when he returns from his office, and when he returns from his office, he sees that Chandan is helping out Bharti, the mother, in knitting. Okay, he is untangling the wool or something. So there is this scene in the play. So Patel becomes really angry on seeing this, and he like shouts or vents out his anger, and he says to Bharti, okay, you will turn him into a sissy. And like he decides that Chandan should immediately join his office and help him out in his business. So but it is rather, it is Chandan who says that he will not go anywhere until and unless Tara accompanies him. So how ingrained these misogynistic views can be, and how Patel, although he is holding Bharti responsible for this injustice, but it is his own behavior which reflects that how uh, this is how ingrained these concepts are, and how he's quite hurt when he sees Chandan helping out Bharti in knitting. So these are the kind of things, the gendered roles, so to say, which make a whole lot of a difference. Okay, and even there is another episode, or I should say another scene, wherein of course because of all of this tension that is created, Tara, she says that men are trying, men will be going hunting till the women they took care of the cave. So in a way that still we are living in the stone age, and that is the kind of mentality that even the modern male like Patel is having. That is how he's perceiving that the outside world is to be dealt by men, and how the home and the hearth has to be taken care of by the women of the house. Okay, and then there is of course one other incident that I have already taken up in the slide, wherein how Bharti is showing her concern, and she's saying that this could what will happen to Tara, because right now she says it's all right while she's young, it's all very cute and comfortable when she makes witty remarks, but let her grow up. Yes, Chandan, the world will tolerate you, the world will accept you, but not her. Oh, the pain she is going to feel when she sees herself at 18 or 20. 30 is unthinkable. And what about 40 and 50? Oh God. Then Patel, he's saying, uh, he's telling Chandan rather, that he left you a lot of money. And Chandan retorts, and Tara, Patel says nothing. Chandan, why? Patel says it was his money. He could do what he wanted with it. So, like, it is always the male who is preferred over the female, and how the grandfather has, the maternal grandfather has given or bestowed all his property to Chandan and not to Tara. So, this is something that we need to ponder over, and this is how literature, as I told you, as I discussed in the very beginning, that how literature is a mirror of life. So like how by mirroring these things, what the writers are doing, they are actually enabling the readers to understand that what are the kind of flaws that exist in the society. Okay, that is how literature, the role of literature comes in. Now, another text that I have taken for discussion is this Fasting Feasting by Anita Desai. And again, this particular novel is also dealing with the theme of gender discrimination, that in the Indian context, so to say. And this particular novel is divided into two parts. And part one, um where you see that the son of the family, that is Arun, his education and future is prioritized over the aspirations of the daughter by the parents. And the daughter, on the other hand, is Uma, and she is a living testament to the limited opportunities and gender rigid expectations placed on women. So when the brother is born in the family, okay, the mama and the papa over here, they were already having two daughters, and one of the daughter is Uma. And when a son is, when like of course it is discovered that the wife is going to give birth to a baby, and when of course the boy comes into the family, how the papa, his reaction, like how this discrimination starts from the very beginning, from the point of the birth, that is the kind of celebrations. What is the difference of celebrations between when a boy is born into a family and when the girl is born into a family? Okay, so the whole concept that a girl is someone who has to be married out. Okay, she has to go in someone else's home. So why to waste money and time over her, and rather the boy is considered to be with someone who will take the responsibility of the family. And that is the reason that this very discourse that surrounds the gender discrimination and the whole concept of it, you can understand by the very thing that when the boy is born into the family, when particularly in this instance when Arun is born, how the father is, he is ecstatic, like how he jumps out of the car, he runs towards the house, and he's so happy to know about the birth of the son in the family, and particularly like a son being born into the family after the birth of two daughters. Okay, so as I was the point that I was trying to make was that when Arun is born, how it is expected from Uma that she should be taking care of the baby boy. So I will quote from the novel: stay at home and look after your baby brother. You will be happy at home. You are not being moved up. What is the use of going back to school? So that is the expectation from a little girl, that she should be, rather than studying, she should devote her time, and how the brother, the charge of the brother cannot be given to a maid or someone else, because he is a boy. Okay, so he has to be taken special care, and that is why it is expected of Uma that she should contribute in this, and that she should be the one who should be living, who should be taking care of the baby brother. Then there is this another quote that I have taken from the novel, and it says, and I quote: he had not only made her his wife, he had made her the mother of his son. What honor, what status! Mama's chin lifted a little into the air. She looked around her to make sure everyone saw and noticed. She might have been wearing a medal. So you see that when a son is born to the woman, okay, she is made to feel special. It is as if the son is like a medal, and how like this is something that the society gives that kind of an honor to a woman when she bears a child or bears a male child. But the reaction is quite contrary when a daughter is born. Okay, so this is the dichotomy, and these are the kind of perceptions that are associated with the two genders, the man and the woman, and how the society like interacts and has perceptions about it quite differently. There are many other instances also in the novel where you see that how if a girl is achieving something, there is another character in the novel, and she's the cousin of Uma, and she is able to get admission in the best of the universities in Oxford, and but she is expected, rather than going and taking admission there, she's expected to get married because this is the right time to get married. But on the contrary, if the boy has accomplished something like this, it is a moment for celebration, and there is not even a point of question that of course it is assumed that he will be taking up this job or this admission. Okay, so that is the kind of a contrast that you find. So there are lots of instances, because as I talked about the previous play that I had given reference to, that is Mahesh Dattani's play Tara, and this novel that I am presently talking about, that is Anita Desai's Fasting Feasting. Both these works, they have lot of instances wherein you come across what kind of gender discrimination one comes across. Now I want to discuss about that how these gender equations and these issues of gender, they are dealt with in diasporic literature. Now, diasporic literature, it often explores complex identities shaped by migration, exile, and cultural hybridity. When we examine these narratives through a feminist lens, we can uncover how gender intersects with race, ethnicity, and class to create unique experiences for diasporic women. And to begin with, let me explain the term diaspora, which, according to Merriam Webster, is defined as the movement, migration, or scattering of a people away from an established or ancestral homeland. It encompasses the experiences of migration, cultural adaptation, and the preservation of cultural identity in a new environment. Now, women may migrate for various reasons. Okay, it could be employment, education, to escape gender-based violence and discrimination, to escape area of conflict, family reunification, personal aspirations, etc. Women in the diaspora play crucial roles in their communities, both in their host countries and their homelands, often acting as agents of change and cultural ambassadors. Now, uh, these are two very important themes that are there in the diasporic literature, that is, identity and a sense of belongingness. That is how, when women, particularly in general, the diasporic community, when they are living away from their homeland, they face this crisis of identity and belongingness. But women, like how they are considered to be individuals who are more attached to their hearth, who are more attached to their home and homeland. So you find that women in diasporic literature, they often have to navigate between their cultural heritage and the new cultures they encounter. In this particular text, that is Americana by Chimananda Ngozi Adichie, there is this character Ifemelu who grapples with her identity as a Nigerian in America. And I quote from the text. It says, "I discovered race in America, and it fascinated me. I did not think of myself as black, and I only became black when I came to America." That is, these are the kind of issues which were non-existent back home, but in Nigeria. But when this character Ifemelu comes over here in America, how it is like how she realizes that it is only over here that she realizes that she is of a different race, that she can be assigned this particular racial identity of being a black. Okay, so this is the discovery that she comes to make only when she is in a foreign land. Okay, and so likewise, in there is this novel by the name of Jasmine, by a very famous diasporic author Bharti Mukherjee. So in Bharti Mukherjee's novel Jasmine, the character starts as Jyoti in her native village in India. And of course, during her travels and during her many discoveries, okay, how finally she lands up becoming Jasmine when she marries, and later she adopts various other identities such as Jace and Jane as she moves through different stages of her life in America. And she says, "I feel at times like a stone." I'm quoting from the novel. "I feel at times like a stone hurtling through diaphanous mist, unable to grasp the contours of my own existence." So how this issue, this whole issue of identity, how it becomes very important in the diasporic literature. Women particularly, how they feel lost in a distant land. Okay, a land which is not familiar to them, a land where where they don't find someone with whom they can discuss their issues, where they can discuss or maybe pour out their hearts to someone. Okay, they are the ones who are, maybe most of the time they are left by themselves. It is the husband who is going outside and doing the job and other things. Okay, so there is this whole issue of identity, and how this crisis that comes in the characters, and how they find that they are devoid of any identity in a foreign land, or how they are facing this kind of a crisis. So these are the kind of problems that mostly the diasporic women, the diasporic writers who are writing about these kind of themes there. Now, the other issue, which of course, which is of course connected to the previous one that we were discussing, that is the issue of cultural displacement. So the migrating women often experience a profound sense of cultural displacement, feeling torn between their native culture and the culture of their new country. And particularly, the writer that I would now want to mention is Jhumpa Lahiri. Jhumpa Lahiri is, of course, now presently I'll be talking about her novel, The Namesake. In the next slide, I will be mentioning her collection of short stories. So, in The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri, there is this character by the name of Ashima Ganguly. Okay, and she has this feeling, she writes and she conveys this in this manner, and I will quote: for being a foreigner, Ashima is beginning to realize that is a sort of lifelong pregnancy, a perpetual weight, a constant burden, a continuous feeling out of sorts. Okay, so this particular quote from the novel, it in a nutshell, it is presenting the emotions of a woman who is living in a foreign land. That is the feeling of being a foreigner. That is what she is talking about, that she says it is like a lifelong wait, it is like a lifelong pregnancy where she's waiting what will be the outcome. Okay, so and a constant burden that is she's carrying inside her heart. Okay, and in her soul, in her entire existence, in a way she's carrying that weight. Okay, so likewise in the novel titled as Wife by Bharti Mukherjee, there is this character Dimple. Okay, Dimple's initial expectation of life in America are shaped by romanticized notions which starkly contrast with the reality she faces upon arrival. This disillusionment is a significant aspect of her culture shock. And I quote from the novel: the city loomed large, its steel and glass towers rising up to the heavens. The noise, the pace, the very air felt hostile to her. She had imagined America to be glamorous, but the reality was a cold, impersonal city that seemed to swallow her whole. Though she walked the streets feeling like a ghost, unseen, unheard, and utterly alone. Now, when I'm discussing this novel of Bharti Mukherjee, that is Wife, I'm reminded of Jamaica Kincaid's novel Lucy, wherein also Lucy, throughout her life, she has always desired to reach America, and she has desired this America to be a land of dreams and dream fulfillment. But once she arrives in America, she realizes that these buildings are just dusty buildings, and that kind of a the charm that she was having of visiting America, of seeing these buildings, is gone once she reaches that place. So over here, likewise, you find that Dimple, when she is here and when she is facing this kind of isolation where there is no one to talk to, so the steel and glass structure of the city is taking its toll on her personality. And she has also thought, like Lucy, that America is a place which is full of glamour, but then like the cold touch of the steel and glass, how the city itself now seems to be very cold. And that coldness is, of course, symbolic of the impersonal, the kind of trait that the city is having, that it is quite impersonal. And how it is, says that it seems as if she is walking like a ghost, that is unseen, unheard, and utterly alone. Because of course, all those people, the street might be full of people who are walking around her, but she is not having any kind of a connection with those people who are surrounding her. So that is the kind of theme that the women diasporic writers particularly, they are writing about in their works, and that is what I am primarily like discussing over here. Now, of course, another connecting link that you can say is about, of course, this particular point arises, that is the alienation and loneliness. So, alienation and loneliness are pervasive themes in diasporic literature, particularly in works by migrating women. These themes reflect the emotional and psychological struggles that come with adapting to a new cultural environment. A woman's vulnerability in a new place who is far from home is highlighted in the short story Mrs. Sains from Interpreter of Melodies by Jhumpa Lahiri. And again, I would like to quote few lines from this short story. He didn't tell her that Mrs. Sain paced the apartment, staring at the plastic covered lampshades as if noticing them for the first time. He didn't tell her she switched on the television but never watched it, or that she made herself tea but let it grow cold on the coffee table. So that is what we are talking about, that how women being more emotional, women who are attached to their homelands, and how when the men decides to go out or to maybe make a living, how it is woman who usually has to suffer because she is the one who is accompanying her husband, or maybe her father, or maybe her brother, or the family, and how these things are suddenly they take their toll on the life and personality of a woman, because this kind of a loneliness or alienation, the woman is unprepared for this kind of a living in a foreign land, and that is why she is the kind of course the kind of cold behavior, and the weather which is itself cold. So what happens is that particular symbolically those things they weigh heavily on the woman herself, and how she's unable to interact with people around her, because sometimes it happens, as is the case in the with the protagonist of the namesake, wherein she is unable to interact with other people. There is of course a constant longing for her homeland, okay, so which is not enabling her to make herself feel at home in this particular place, okay. So there are these things which are constantly disturbing the mind of the women, and how it becomes very difficult for them to find maybe a place to hold on to, okay. So these are the kind of themes that are usually discussed by women writers, the women diasporic writers in their writings, okay. And of course there is also one more book which maybe I will just mention, that is The Inheritance of Loss by Kiran Desai. And over here you see that there is this character Gyan, who shuns Sai for her anglopholic ways, because Sai has been from the very beginning, okay, she has been nurtured in a way that she is an anglophile. She's always of course that kind of a girl who is very comfortable with English. She has western ways, but of course how she's judged and misjudged by Gyan because of this kind of nurturing that she has had throughout her life, okay. So women usually are they have to bear the burden of this thing, that how they are from the very beginning, they are born and brought up in a certain way, but what happens is, because of the expectations of the society, or the perceptions of the society, or maybe if they are trying to find out or carve out a niche for themselves, what happens is that they are misjudged. And from the very beginning of history and literature, you will find that whenever women have tried to assert themselves, okay, maybe just now I am being reminded of this very famous historical character, that of Joan of Arc, okay, how she was, because she dared to wear the clothes of men, okay, she dared to establish herself in the world of men. What happens is that ultimately she is tried, and she is persecuted, and she is burned alive. So that is the kind of result or that is the kind of ultimately the perception of the men, that when women they try to assert themselves, or when they are having a mind of their own, when they can perform or outdo men, what happens is that how because of these gender biases, ultimately what happens is that the woman has to bear the brunt, and how, as in the case of Joan of Arc, she is burnt alive. So we have to understand that we have to move out or grow out of these gender biases. We have to like deconstruct these gender constructions, so to say, because we began with the very fact of gender constructions, that how gender is a construct. Okay, a construct wherein which is of course like it is systematized by like acting out those roles again and again. We talked about the concept of gender performativity, that again when a certain kind of roles which are assigned to any of the genders, how they are performed time and again, and that is how it makes them normal. So we have to denormalize these gender constructs, and one has to move out of the perceptions of these gender constructs. So finally, I move on to the conclusion of this lecture. So as you saw that in a sense, our exploration today emphasized the importance of a nuanced understanding of gender. By studying these concepts, we are better equipped to recognize and challenge the systemic inequalities that persist in various forms across different societies. Let's take these insights forward, committed to fostering a more inclusive and equitable world. Okay, so as you saw that in this lecture we discussed about gender constructs, how they lead to gender biases and gender stereotypes, and how feminism it emerged to combat marginalization of women due to patriarchy and to assert their rights. And we also discussed how women have written their side of the story to have their voices heard. And gender and literature is a dynamic and continuously evolving subject. And of course, it needs to be researched further, and further things need to be like really made across all people and all communities. Okay, thank you.